Hi, I'm Juanita from Nearby Artisans, and today I'm going to make some digital pages and some digital paper for my scrapbooks. So I'm going to start out with this little dog. My daughter has beagles and she loves her beagles, so I'm going to make her a scrapbook page for her beagles. So the easiest thing that you can do with this is basically just to highlight the image there, the design, and go over to replicate and just fill page. Now this software is going to fill the page it can based on the size of the image and the space that it has that it needs to fill, and it makes it all even. That looks really great. Now I can also take and have multiple images or designs there. Now if I highlight both of those and say fill page, it's going to fill the page with those two dogs. Now, if I have this here, and I'm creating a scrapbook page for my daughter, and I put this here, that's kind of busy, and I can't really see where the image leaves off and the dog starts. So what I would do is choose, and I would make them transparent. Now, I could have made the two transparent and then filled the page, but I kind of like to see what the whole page is going to look like. So I can go ahead and make that pretty transparent, and now I can see that if I printed this out, and now I have the dog there. This could be printed out also, or I could, she could cut out a from an actual photograph and put it on here, mount it to the page. I can also take and make a background, send it to back, and I could have that all there and then have this on it, but I like to use as little of my ink as I have to, so I would actually print this out on paper that was beige or a light beige, white, maybe a light pink or a light blue, and I would do it that way instead of using my ink. So that's how I would do that. I don't have a 12 by 12 printer. So I have an 8.5 by 11 printer. And I'm going to change my page in page setup so that when I do a page fill, it's going to fill the page that I'm able to print on. So I'm going to click on my current printer. I could also click on the 8.5 by 11 that's down further. I'm going to say portrait orientation. And now I'm going to take this little Christmas ornament, and I can do it while it's over here even. I'll show you. And now I'm going to say fill page, and it will fill the page with that ornament. I could say I want 2 ornaments, and fill page, and it's going to give me the line of each one because that's how it was here on the thing. Now I can also make them be horizontal, align horizontally, and click on them, fill page, and now it's going to fill every other one, or whatever I click up here, it's going to fill the page with that. And again, I could take these, I could make them transparent, go to fill the page. Now it's going to fill them that transparent. And if I think that's not transparent enough, I can choose all of them and just make them a little bit more transparent if I'm using this for a background for a page. Or I could have it be a prominent color if I want it that way. I'm getting these the little red lines because it was those are cut lines. I would just go and take those cut lines away in this. I can do that now. Just have the cut lines be, and there we go. And now it's just a little faded. And if I was using this as a background page, I kind of like that. It's kind of busy when it's dark, but some people like that. And then I would print this out again on a page that had a color that I liked. I don't think it would print very well on like a red paper or a dark blue. But you could try that. Now, if I wanted to have those colors be prominent and on a, I need to go to fill, and on a brighter piece of paper, say if I wanted yellow, and I wanted a bright yellow, because I actually wanted to go ahead and print this out as a solid page, I would go ahead and get myself a rectangle here. I would make it 8.5 by 11, so width 8.5 by 11. I'm going to lock that in. Half by 11, and now I could put this right into there, and sorry, and then I could turn that into a nice yellow, put it behind, and then I could print this out, and it would print out just like that. I don't like the feel and texture of a page that's been solidly printed either, but some people like it or it doesn't bother them. I would just rather print these out on a nice subtle color of cardstock. So, and again, if I wanted to, I'm just going to go back. Try to grab just these two, and then I will just get rid of the rest. Sometimes undo and multiple undo are just still far back. And again, this is our school mascot. If I wanted to make a page with the school mascot, this is him with the full color. I would go ahead and make him transparent a little bit, and then I would go to fill a page. And now I could make it further transparent, which I might do. A little more transparent. And now I could put a name in here. Maybe I would put our school. I would make that much bigger and probably fill it with black. I would also have black for the line, since it's going to be printed and not cut, and then maybe a name. And put that there. Fill it. And so I could make like the front page of a booklet, or you know, again, a scrapbook page, and then I could put a picture. If I put these up at the top, up here, and I would line them up, I would go in and I would align them based on the page, and then I could put a photo down here. And like, for instance, let's just say if I did a photo, I'm just going to do a rough one here. Now, if I did a photo there, and we'll just say that that's the photo, and that's what I would have. And that's a nice page for the end of a sports banquet, a graduation. You know, it just makes it really nice to be able to have these little images in the background. So, and I would also, so that you don't accidentally move any of these, I would, in the beginning, go ahead and group those. So that way, if you move them around, you're not going to be moving around just one, and then it looks off. So if I were making a card, say, I would go in to my page setup, and I would say, I want a card that is going to be 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. Now, because of the fact that I want to have this card fold in the middle, I'm going to go ahead and make the card 8 inches tall, And then I would create a score line right here in the center. I'd create my score line, and I would hold down my shift key while I was doing that so that I get a nice perfect line. So I would click here, hold down my shift key, score, because see, now it can't go up and down. It's just going to only be able to go across. I'd score it right like that and go over to my line function, and then I would be using my score tool. I would leave it for the solid, and then using my score tool. And now I also see this is the line that I don't want to go above this, because this would be the back of the card. This would be the front. So I could go in and I could take this guy here, make him bigger. I could, I think that if I were making a card, while I'm making it, I would go ahead and make myself a 4x6 rectangle. I think I want that to be 6 wide, and then 4. And I would line everything up that way, and then I would place it there, and then I would get rid of the rectangle. So I would go ahead and move my person there, my guy, and get it lined up. Well, at first I would also put the CHS on there. And that could be any CHS. I would make it bigger. I would make it black to stand out. I would get those all together, and then I would line them up. Center middle for all of them. I would pull all of those over to my page, get it nice and lined up there, and then I would pull out my rectangle. And then I would have the front of a card. And you see, it's nice that this is just kind of just faded in the background. Now I can click just that, and I can fade more to where it's just barely seen or less, depending on how I liked it, how prominent I wanted the letters there to be. I could put CHS, class of. These could be invitations for a birthday. You could put your child's favorite sports team, or a picture of your child, and fade it. Like I could fade this photo here. If this was a child, say, I could fade that picture, and then I could put "You are invited." I don't want it to be that transparent. Well, let me go back. That's why I like the, I could do the multiple Mac, but I'm just going to do that. Now I'll go ahead and do the, you are invited. Make it be, maybe a red. Red fill. And then I could put, if this was a picture of a child or a dog, if it was a dog party, and then I would fade it. And that way they're kind of seeing like, oh, it's for that person. And then there you go. You're invited. And again, I would center this so that it's nice and it's right. I would just make sure to stay away from my score line here. And so that's just a nice way to make a card. But if you're doing a fill, it's really nice to have the fill also the size that you'll actually be using, because that way you're not filling past that space. So like these could be ornaments here, you know, a top border. So anyway, I'm going to now make a border page. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my 8.5 by 11, my current printer, and maybe I want to make a page that has a border around it, and I don't want to have to line them up by hand. So I would go to my advanced replicate and say I wanted to make these ornaments as a border. I could take these ornaments and let's say I'll just do one for now. And I could go over to my X-offset and Y-offset, which is the same as an X-axis and a Y-axis, but I'm going to say offset since that's the terminology they use here. And say I'm going to want this to be, I'm going to want 5 copies, and I want them to be, say 1 inch apart. And then I could say I want 5 copies of that 1 inch apart on my Y offset. Now I could say I want that one to have 1 inch. And then here I would either say I want 4 1 inch apart. Sorry, I need it to be the Y. 1 inch apart. Or if I went ahead and left it at 5, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to have 2 here. Oh, well, I guess I didn't. I think that it kept what I had previously. So we'll do 5 again. There we go. So it gave me a duplicate down here. So if I leave it and just keep clicking, clicking, clicking to get it fast, then I want to delete the extra one there, or just change this to one less when you're at the very end. And then I have a little frame there of Christmas ornaments. I could do Christmas ornaments so that they are fill up the entire page here, or I could also just cut that part out and have a little frame there. Or for a scrapbook page, I could have my ornaments there. Could group them, and then I could have words. I could have a picture in there, and then I could have like a little story out here, words down here, and you know, it's just kind of nice to be able to do that. Another thing I can do is, this is very versatile. This X and Y offsets, they're very versatile. There's so many things you can do with those. One thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of haphazardly line these up and just click on all of them. These Christmas ornaments. Now I'm going to click on those, go up to Object. I'm going to align them in the center. I'm also going to go to my transform window, and I'm going to align them vertically so that they're the exact equidistant amount apart. Now I can take, I'm going to move those over a bit, and I have one there. I want to go to my replicate and my advanced replicate, my X and Y offset, and I want this one to have 2, and I want it to have the X offset and be, I think, go ahead and stay with 1 inch apart. That gave me 2 copies. I want 1 copy. So this is my original. I want 1 copy. I have to sometimes, you have to kind of clear this out. Okay, so now I want 1 copy. I want 2 copies of that one, 1 inch apart. Just every now and then you have to kind of clear it out. So I want 2 copies. Go back up to 1. I want 3 copies. For this one, I want 4 copies. For this one, I want 5 copies. Now, I'm going to group these. And now I'm going to align them in the center. And I have a tree, a bit of a tree here. I could make a little pot down here and do it that way. I could also group this entire arrangement, and I could make it a little smaller, go up and replicate this, and I could replicate over here too, but I can replicate this and mirror it below and get myself a diamond shape. Now, another thing that I can do is I can ungroup this one, but still keep them together, go up to where the white is completely covered there and matches, get rid of the white, and now I have a more concentric diamond shape. I'm going to go ahead and group these back, and now I have this nice diamond shape that I could put in the center of a card. I can go in and do the transparency and make them lighter, but I kind of like these dark because I could make them even smaller and do Merry Christmas around them, or I could have this be in the corners or on the sides, and just gives me a little bit of flexibility of things that I could do. I could also have the original ones, get to my original, and group all of that. And I could put these again over here. I need to ungroup them again. There, now they're individual. And I could just also just click on them, just hold down my shift key and pull those over there. Get rid of those. And I could have them hanging up above. I can go ahead and click on these and align them. I'm going to go ahead and rotate them. Oops. I thought I have to group them to rotate them. So I'm going to group them, rotate them. Oh, it's not letting me rotate the whole thing. There we go. And now I will ungroup them, get them lined up. I'm going to align them middle, and then I will go to the transform and align them horizontally. And so now they're aligned horizontally. I could put these at the top and keep them that way, and have this be a page that I send Christmas greetings, write Christmas letters at the top of a Christmas card. I can make it smaller, and I could duplicate it on this side and have it go across the entire page and just be smaller. I kind of like it bigger, though. I like to be able to see those little shiny bits in the center. Or I can also replicate these to fill a page. Let me go back. If I wanted to fill the whole page with those, it's going to fill the page. And, you know, then I could use this for a card, the front of a card. Again, it's kind of dark, so I probably, if I was going to put words on this, I would go ahead and use vinyl instead of trying to print it out, so that it would kind of stand away a little bit from the brightness of these, this design. And another thing is, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of them but my top group there. I'm going to move them over here, make them smaller out of the way. And say if I wanted to, say if there's a child that's in FFA, and I wanted to make him a little, or her, make him or her a little design here, and I could make it black. I faded that out beforehand, so I'll just do the transparency now. And then I could, for the girl or boy, put their name. I'd probably pick red, and we'll say Laura. And I could put some little farm animals here, you know, more than just one, and have a nice little FFA page. Here's another cow. And when they have transparency like that, they just really take a nice background. You know, they're not prominent, and you can do a lot of things over them, and you don't have to worry about, like, I could make that red and a much lighter red, and then I could put that there. And this is also really nice for sublimation printing. There's a lot you can do with sublimation printing, with the being able to do transparencies. And let's see, put this up there. And again, with I could do the school mascot, like that. So there's just so much you could do with this, the X and Y axis. I'm going to try another thing with it. I'll go ahead and make this small. Get rid of that. And my advanced. And I could say I want this to be 2 inch, we'll just say 1.5. 1.5 inches over, 1.5 inches down, and I want 2 of them. Again, sometimes you have to click, I must have had 2 before, sometimes you have to click this to 1 and then go up. So I want 2 of those, and there we go. Say if I wanted this one here, so that you can get there's so much that you can do here. I'm going to go ahead and color that in. I'm going to give it transparency, and I would probably write down the transparency for this one so that I get it the same. Go to my line, make it black, and now I'll go to my advanced replicate, and again, I'm going to want 2 copies, 1.5 inches apart, and it's going to put those 1.5 inches from this. And there I go. And now I could put another one, and I could get a nice diagonal going here. I could also say I don't want it to be the 2.5 inches. I want it to be 2. So I'll say, or maybe I want this to be 2. I want it to be 2 over and then 1.5 down. And so it's still lined up, but it's different from the previous one. So there's just so many things you can do with this X and Y offset. I really like it. I use it a lot. It's really fun to use that to make your paper pages. And it just gives you so much that you can do as far as creating and experimenting and trying your own things. And the thing is that if you don't like it, you can just go up here and just undo, or you can just, like, I could just hit my shift key, get rid of these and say, yeah, I don't like those. I can, again, with the Christmas balls, I could go in, say this green one, and I could say I want 10 of those, and I want them to be, maybe 1.75 inches apart. And if you know points, you can also do that. You can also do it doesn't have to be inches. I don't recall what other ones there are. I always use inches, but you can look in your help screen up here and see what other options you have for the size. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate that. Now see, it went clear down to there, so I'm going to get rid of that. You can also replicate this so that it will, I'm going to say 1/2 inch, or I guess 1 inch. I'm going to do 1 inch. 1 inch for the X and the Y offset. I'm only going to do 5, and I'm going to have this, I'm going to have each copy rotate 45 degrees. And I think I'm going to make it a little bigger so you can see clearly how it rotates. Now I'm going to replicate that. Maybe I'll do 4 copies since I made them bigger. 3, because it'll be this one plus it will be 3 copies, so I'll get a total of 4. Now see how that changed? This is 45 degrees and then 90 degrees, and each one is 45 degrees from the previous one. So it doesn't really matter for the ornaments, but say if you were doing a ball or a star, you might want it to gradually go down having a different angle. And again, this can be set to a lot of angles. You have a lot of flexibility with this. So just go on and try some of these and just, give them a try. See how you like it. The worst thing that happens is you click undo, or you click delete, or you delete the whole thing, or go out of it without saving. And just to go over this a little bit, the position of each copy, this says to make 1 copy. We'll just go over that real quick. 1 copy. Well, it gave me 4. Oh, I have it set up here. 1 copy. It's still, you have to really go in and reset that thing. Not every time, but I just am used to doing it, so I try to just change it here. So 1 copy to the left, 1 copy to the right, 1 copy up. And it's, if you can see that it is giving it a different angle because I have the angle set there. So we'll put that at 0. I'm going to go back 1 below. And now see, it's the same exact. And then here I have the ability to do an X and a Y offset. And this is based on the X and Y axis. And this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So if I wanted to do, say if I knew kind of where I wanted this to be, I could line this up here, and then I could say, I could go in with a ruler and I could figure out how far it is to, say, this one. I don't know how far, so I'm just going to guess. But I could say I want 1 copy and I want it to be offset 5 and 5. So it's going to take it 5 inches over and 5 inches down. And there you go. So there's 5 inches over, 5 inches down. And you can kind of see like where you want things based on that. Like if I was doing this one now and had it lined up and had it the same size, and now I could say that I want this one, it's not going to give me 5 and 5 because that would be off the page. But say if I wanted it, I don't know if I can do a negative. Yeah, I can. So I could have it be -5 and -5 and -5. But it's going to take it. Okay, so I need the y to not be negative. So I want it, so I'm going to go back, get rid of that, and I want this to be 5. So you just experiment. There we go. And now I could keep going. I could say I want this one to be, say, now I assume I made these all the same size. Maybe I just want it 5 over. And I don't want it to go downward at all. And see, there's so much that you can do. You could really have a lot of fun with this X and Y offset and create your own pages, create your own cards, and but create your own pages for your cards. So I hope you have fun doing these. I hope you try more things than I've shown you here.